I am A. Nirisha, Assistant Professor in the Department of CSIT working in MNR Institution of Technology. Today we are going to discuss about nested loop statements in C programming language. So coming to the overview, we are going to discuss about nested loops and also some pattern related problems and also some number related problems. So coming to the real time examples of the nested loops. So these nested loops are used in matrix related problems. While solving matrix related problems, we are using this nested loops, and also some puzzle solving or game development like Sudoku validations. And also while comparing elements in the 2D array elements. So for example, if you want to remove the sum of the duplicate elements, so at that time also we are using this nested loop. And next is printing a pattern. Patterns related problems also can be solved by using this nested loops. So coming to the nested loops, a for inside a for. One for we are placing in for inside the other for is known as nested loops. So we can not only a for inside a for, we can also place while inside a while, do while inside a do while, or while inside a for inside a while, like that. Whatever the repetition statements are nested, those we are calling it as a nested for loops. And the syntax of this, the functioning of this nested for loops is for initialization, and the next condition, and next it's modification of loop variables, that is considered as increment or decrement. And inside this, one more for we are taking, one again initialization, condition, increment or decrement. So this is a statement block. Here we are writing some statement block. So coming to the functionality of this nested for loop, say this is nothing but one for we are placing inside the another for. So coming to the functionality of this, first we are in the one for we are initializing the value, and the next we are giving the condition to it, and next the modification of the loop variables. And if the condition is satisfying here, then only we are entering into the inner for loop, and next we are checking the condition over here in the inner for loop. And if this condition is true, then the statement block will get executed. And when we are coming out of this inner for loop, whenever the condition is false, then at that time we are coming out of the inner for loop. Until that, the statement block will get repeated. And when we'll get from the outer for loop, when this condition is false, then the complete outer for loop will get exited. So now we need to solve some pattern problems. So coming to the pattern problems, for examples, we are going to solve some star patterns. Consider this 4 stars in this way, the rows and columns, 4 rows and 4 columns. So if I want to solve this kind of pattern at that time, first we need to know how to print a star. So how to print a star? By using a printf statement. By using a single printf statement, we are printing a star. And for suppose if you want to print some 5 stars or 4 stars, at that time we are using some for loop. The same statement we are inserted inside the for loop. So consider, for suppose I want some 5 number of stars. So from where we are starting, from I is equals to 1 and I less than or equals to 5, and next I plus plus. So by using these 2 statements, we can print some 5 stars in a row. For suppose this for loop will get 1 row of stars will get printed. So 5 stars will get printed. For suppose the same 5 stars I want to repeat it for 5 number of rows. So at that time these 2 statements we are nesting inside the another for loop, that is for I is equals to 1 and I less than or equals to 5 and I plus plus. So the same, thus whatever the 5 patterns we have got, that will be repeated for another next 4 times, so that we'll get the star pattern, 5 rows and all 5 columns. So this is nothing but the nested for loop. By using nested for loop, we can solve such kind of problems. So one of the example for nested for loop. So the same pattern that what we have seen now. So here we are taking in the main function we are taking n variable, I variable and also the j variable. I and j are used in the two for loops. And the next n is used for number of rows. How many number of rows you are required? For suppose here I have taken as an example of 4. For suppose if you want 5, 10 or 11, 12, how many number of rows you want to take? You can take. That number should be stored in some n variable. And by using this scanf statement, we are reading that n variable. And now we are writing the same logic here. See, I is equals to 1, I less than or equals to n and I plus plus and j is equals to 1, j less than or equals to n and j plus plus. If this condition is true, then the star is going to be printed. If this condition is false, then next what will happen? It will come to the next statement. This line will get executed. Again the condition here will be checked after incrementing the I variable. So we'll check with an example. So we'll take n value, some n is equals to 4. If n is equals to 4, I is equals to 1 and 1 less than or equals to 4 condition is true. So if it is true, again we are entering into this for loop, in a for loop. So now j is equals to 1 and 1 less than or equals to n. N here we are taking it as a 4. Here also the condition is true. So if the condition is true, by using this printf statement, we are printing that star. So 1 star will get printed. And again what will happen? Again the j variable will get incremented. Now the j value will be equals to 2 and 2 less than or equals to 4. Yes, the condition is true. So if it is true, by using printf statement, we are printing the star. And again j value will be 3 and 3 less than or equals to 4. Yes, true. So again one more star will get printed. Again 4, j will be 4 and 4 less than or equals to 4. Yes, again one more star will get printed. So the same number of stars that I want to repeat for the next 4 rows. So already 1 row was completed. So for next 3 rows I want to repeat. So these two statements I'm nesting inside the another first. So we are using one /n because after completion of 4 stars, I want to start this printing of the stars in the next line. So if you are using this /n, after completion of this 4 stars, the control will come over to the next line. Again here the I value will get incremented. Again the same process will be repeated. Now again I will be is equals to 2 and 2 less than or equals to 4. Yes, true. So if it is true, again we are checking for the j for loop. J is equals to 1 and 1 less than or equals to 4. Yes, true. So this will be repeated for almost some 4 times. So 4 stars will get printed over here. And again after completion of this inner for loop, the condition will get false and the next line is /n. So the control will come to the next line. So again the same process will be repeated for again another time. Now the I value will be is equals to 3 and 3 less than or equals to 4. Yes, true. So again 4 stars will get printed. Again in the next iteration I will be 4 and 4 less than or equals to 4. Yes, true. So again one more another, all the stars will be printed by using this inner for loop. And next statement is after completion of this inner completion of this inner for loop, the next statement is /n. So the control will come over to the next line. And again we are incrementing the I value. Now I will be is equals to 5 and 5 less than or equals to 4. The condition will be get false and we are coming out of that outer for loop. So end of the program. So here is the result. That is nothing but the pattern problem. That the pattern, that whatever the requirement that we have, that we got. And in the next program, we are going to generate this pattern. That is, in first row only 1 number of star, and in the second row 2 stars, and in the third row 3 stars, and in the fourth row 4 stars. So if you observe clearly here, as the rows are increasing, the columns are also increasing. So the rows, the columns condition is based on the rows condition. So that is the reason why instead of n here we are using I, because these columns are dependent on the rows. So in the first row we want only 1 star and in the second row we want the 2 stars. So in such cases we are writing the condition as j less than or equals to I instead of j less than or equals to n. So in the previous pattern, we have written the condition as I less than or equals to n and j less than or equals to n, because we require n number of rows and n number of columns. But here in this pattern, the columns are completely dependent on the rows. So that is the reason why here we are writing the condition as j less than or equals to I, because this columns are dependent on the I variable. So if you have I number of rows, then I number of columns will be displayed here. Taking an example, that is n is equals to 4. So for suppose if we have taking the n as a 4, the next statement is I is equals to 1 and I less than or equals to n. So I is equals to 1 and 1 less than or equals to 4. And the next, the condition is true, so we are entering into the next for loop. So j is equals to 1 and 1 less than or equals to I. Here the I value we have it is 1. So 1 is less than 1. 1 is equals to 1. The condition is true. So if the condition is true, what we are doing by using this printf statement, we are printing 1 star. So 1 star will get printed over here. And then next, the j value will get incremented inside the inner for loop. So j will be 2 and 2 less than or equals to 1. The condition is false. So we are coming out of this inner for loop, and the next line is /n. So the control will come over to the next line. So here again, the I variable will get incremented in the outer for loop. So now I is equals to 2 and 2 less than or equals to 4. Yes, the condition is true. So if it is true, again we are entering here. J is equals to 1 and 1 less than or equals to I. Here I value is 2. 1 is less than 2. Condition is true. So 1 star will get printed here. And the next j will be incremented to 2 less than or equals to 2. Yes, true again. So another star will get printed here, because by using this printf statement, we are printing the star. And the next one is j will be 3 and 3 less than or equals to 2. The condition will be false, and we are coming out of this inner for loop. And the next statement is /n. So the control will come over to the next line. The control will come over to the next line. And again, next I value will get incremented. So this process will get repeated until we got the condition as a false. So if you observe here, in the first row we have got the 1 star, and the second row we have got the 2 stars, and obviously in the third row we'll get the 3 stars, because as the increment I value is incremented, the columns are also increasing in this pattern. So when the I is equals to 4, at that time we'll get, in the last row we'll get it as a 4 stars. And if it is I is equals to 5 and 5 less than or equals to 4, the condition will be false, and we are coming out of this inner for loop. And this is a pattern that we have a requirement and that we got it. So yes, the reverse order of a pattern. So in the first row we have some n number of stars, that is 3 stars, and the second row we have some n-1, that is 2, and in the third row we have some 1 star, that is n-2. So here, this is a pattern, this is a question that we are taking, and here also when the rows are decreasing, the columns are decreasing. So here we need to print the n number of rows. So for that reason we are taking j is equals to n. So this I for loop will be common for all the patterns, because that is related for rows and j for loop is related for the columns. So I is equals to 1 and I less than or equals to n and I plus plus. So we are taking n is equals to 4 and I is equals to 1 and 1 less than or equals to 4. The condition is true. And in the next for loop we have j is equals to n. So why we have j is equals to n? Because we need to print that all n number of stars in the first row itself. So we are taking that j is equals to n. So j is equals to n is, n value here we have it as 4, and 4 greater than or equals to I is 1 here. Yes, 4 greater than 1. The condition is true. So if it is true, by using this printf statement, we are printing a star. So here also, as we said, the columns are dependent on the rows. As the rows are decreasing, the columns are also decreasing. So here the condition we have set in such a way that the columns are dependent on these rows. So that is the reason why we have used here I instead of n. And here we have a decrement operation, that is j value will get decremented. So j will be equals to 3. So 3 greater than 1, yes, true again. So again one more star will get printed. Again j decrement, j will be 2 and 2 greater than 1, yes, true. So one other star will get printed, and j decrement, j will be 1 and 1 greater than or equals to 1, yes, 1 is equals to 1. So one more star will get printed over here. And when the now here it is j will be decremented and j will be 0. So 0 greater than or equals to 1. No, false. The condition is false. So we are coming out of this inner for loop. And the next statement is slash n. So the control will come over to the next line. And next again, here we are incrementing the I value. Now I is equals to 2 and 2 less than or equals to 4. Yes, true. So if it is true, again we are checking one more condition in the inner for loop. So now j is equals to n. N value here it is 4. So 4 greater than or equals to 2. Yes, 4 is greater than 2. In the previous iteration, we have 4 greater than or equals to n because we require 4 number of stars here. In the next row, we require only some n minus 1 star. So that is 3 stars. So we are using, instead of this n, we are using I value here. So here one more star will not get printed here. So that after getting 3 stars only, the for loop will get terminated. So that is the reason why we are using the condition as j greater than or equals to I. As the rows are increasing, the columns are also increasing. So here j is equals to 4, true. So 3 greater than or equals to 2, true. And j decrement, j will be 2. 2 greater than or equals to 2, yes, true. Again one more star. And now j will be decremented, j will be equals to 1, 1 greater than or equals to 2. Condition will be false and we are coming out of this inner for loop. And next statement is slash n. So we are coming to the next line. The cursor will move to the next line. And the next one is we are incrementing the I value. So we are coming out from the inner for loop when the condition is false, and we are coming out from the outer for loop, complete this nested for loop when the outer for loop condition is false. So here the condition is false, and again what will happen? Again I value will get incremented. So now I is equals to 3 and 3 less than or equals to 4, true. Now j is equals to next, this condition is true. So now we are entering here, j is equals to n is 4 here. So 4 greater than or equals to I here we got it as 3. 4 is greater than to the 2, yes. So 1 star will get printed. And the next j decrement, j will be equals to 3, 3 greater than or equals to 3, yes, another star will get printed here. And the next j is equals to 2, j decrement, so 2 greater than or equals to 3, no, the condition will be false over here, and we are coming out of the inner for loop. And next we are coming to, by using this line, we are coming to the next line. And next I value will get incremented, I is equals to 4 and 4 less than or equals to 4, condition is true, and j is equals to n. N here is 4 and 4 greater than or equals to I value here it is 4. So yes, the condition is true. So 1 star will get printed over here. And next the j value will get decremented, 3 greater than or equals to 4, false, condition will be false. And next I value will get incremented, I equals to 5, 5 less than or equals to 4, the condition will be false, and we are coming out of the nested for loop. So this is a pattern that we got after the execution of this code. The next pattern is this one. So see, you can find the stars here. So the same thing, like the second pattern we have seen in the second example program, we have seen this one, which means it is in the first row itself. Sorry. So it is almost. So in this example, we have seen this pattern. So by using this logic, here we have clearly mentioned that the rows are, if the rows are increasing, the columns are also increasing. So in this pattern also we have the same thing, but we have the star at the last column. We have the star at the last column. See here, it's almost some 4 rows and 4 columns. But instead of stars, here we have some spaces over here. So here also the rows are dependent on the columns. So if the rows are increasing, the columns are increasing. But coming to this pattern, here it is some spaces. So if the rows are decreasing, the columns are decreasing. So this is an example. This is for spaces. We are taking one more for loop, that is for spaces, and next one more for loop, that is for stars. So this logic we are using based on this pattern, and the stars logic we are using based on this pattern. So you can find here. So we are taking in the main function, we are taking n, I, j and s. By using scanf statement, we are reading the n variable, n value. And this is for outer for loop. As we told, for all the patterns, it will be same because we want n number of rows over here. So here also we have some n number of rows and n number of columns. So we are taking the condition as I less than or equals to n. And then next we are taking it as a spaces. So before star we have there's 3 spaces we have in the first row and 2 spaces in the second row and 1 space in the third row and no spaces in the fourth row. So this is one of the triangle that we need to print. So for this one we are using one for loop, and for this pattern we are using another for loop. And for complete entire pattern we are using one more for loop. So in the outer for loop we are using this one. We are giving the condition as this I less than or equals to n, and inner for loop, these 2 for loops we are taking. So one is for spaces and other one is for printing the stars. So here we are taking s is equals to n minus 1. So in the previous example we have taken j is equals to n. Instead of j is equals to n minus 1, we have taken here n, because we want in the first row we want the n number of rows. But here in this pattern we want that n minus 1 spaces in the first row. So that is the reason why we are taking s is equals to n minus 1, and as usual the condition yes greater than or equals to I, and yes minus minus we are decrementing. So the first n minus 1, so for suppose we are taking n is equals to 4 and I is equals to 1 and 1 less than or equals to 4, the condition is true. Now s is equals to n minus 1. N minus 1 is 4 minus 1, that is equals to 3, and 3 greater than or equals to I. I here is 1. It is true. So the condition, if the condition is true, then what we are doing, we are printing some spaces. So one space will get printed, and next 2. S value is decrementing over here, so one other space will get printed. And again S value is decrementing, 1 greater than or equals to 1 is true, so one more space will get printed. And then next S decrement, S will be equals to 0. So 0 greater than or equals to 1, no, false, the condition is false. So we are coming out of this spaces for loop. And then the next statement we have j is equals to 1 and 1 less than or equals to I. I value here it is 1. So as we discussed in the second pattern, as the rows are increasing, the columns are also increasing. So the same condition that one we are using here, because in the first row we have 1 star and in the second row we have 2 stars. As the rows are increasing, the stars are also increasing. So that is the reason why we are taking the condition that what we have seen in the second pattern. So now 1 less than or equals to 1, the condition is true, so 1 star will get printed over here. And the next j value we are incrementing here, j will be equals to 2, 2 greater than or equal, 2 less than or equals to 1, no, the condition is false. And we are coming out of this j for loop, and the next one is /n. So the control will come over to the next line. And next I value will get incremented, I is equals to 2 and 2 less than or equals to 4. Yes, the condition is true. So here if the condition is true, we are going to the next line. That is s is equals to n minus 1. Here the n value is 4. So 4 minus 1, that is 3. So 3 greater than or equals to, the condition we are taking it here it as I. So I value here it is 2. So 3 greater than 2, yes, 2. So spaces we are printing, and the 3 decrement, 3 will be equals to 2. 2 greater than or equals to 2, yes, 2. And s is equals to 1. 1 greater than or equals to 2, false. The condition is false. So we are coming out of this spaces for loop. And next j value, j is equals to 1 and 1 less than or equals to I. Here the I value is 2. So 1 less than or equals to 2, condition is true. So 1 star will get printed, because by using the printf statement we are printing the star if the condition is true. And next again j value we are incrementing here, j will be equals to 2, 2 less than or equals to 2, condition is true. So if it is true, another one more star will get printed over here. In the same way, in the next iteration also 1 star will get printed, 1 space will get printed, and again next 3 stars will get printed. In the next iteration, here the condition will never get true. It will be false. So we are not going to print any kind of spaces. It will only directly print the stars, that is 4 number of stars will get printed. So here before star we are using some spaces. So that is this for spaces we are writing one more for loop. That is the reason why the stars are moved to the right corner. And one of the example program for the numbers. So as we discussed in the star pattern, 1 star in the first row we have 1 star, and in the second row we have 2 stars. The same procedure here also, the same condition we can take. So here we are in the first row we require only one number. For suppose, before going to this pattern, for suppose if you want 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2, this pattern, for suppose if you want this pattern, at that time we are going to use the first stars pattern. So the first stars we have used, like the star pattern we have used. So the same logic we are applying for this numbers pattern. So here we have 3 number of rows and 3 number of columns. Here we have 4 number of rows and 4 number of columns. So the same logic we can apply over here. Instead of in the two conditions, in the two for loop conditions, we are writing I less than or equals to n and j less than or equals to n, if you want this two types of patterns. And now here in this pattern, in this numbers pattern, in the first row we want one number, and in the second row we want 1 2, and in the next row we want 1 2 3 numbers. So here instead of printing the stars, we are printing the j value. J value we are printing so that the numbers will get printed over here. So see here. So this is the logic for this pattern. So in the first row we have one number, in the second row we have two numbers, in the third row we have three numbers. This means as the rows are increasing, the columns are also, the numbers are increasing, the columns are increasing. So we need to use the condition as j greater than or equals, j less than or equals to I. So that what we are printing? We are printing the j value here. So we'll go with the 3, n is equals to 3, and in the first of our loop we are taking I is equals to 1 and 1 less than or equals to 3, condition is true, and next j is equals to 1 and j 1 less than or equals to I value here it is 1. So this condition is true. So if this condition is true, what we are doing by using this printf statement, we are printing the j value. The j value here it is 1. And the next j value will get incremented, j will be equals to 2, 2 less than or equals to, and the condition will be false, and we are coming out of this inner for loop, and the next statement is slashing. So it will come to the next line. The control will come over, the cursor will come over to the next line. And now next we are incrementing the I loop, that is I for loop. I is equals to I variable, I is equals to 1, I is equals to 2, and 2 less than or equals to 3, condition is true. So if it is true, again j is equals to 1 and 1 less than or equals to I here it is 2. So condition is true. So if it is true, what we are printing by using printf statement, j value. Here the j value is 1. So 1 we are printing. And the next j will be incremented, j will be equals to 2, 2 less than or equals to 2, condition is true. So if it is true, by using printf statement we are printing the j value. The j value here it is 2. So the 2 value will get printed. And next j value will get incremented, j will be equals to 3, 3 less than or equals to 2, condition will be false. We are coming out of this inner for loop, and it is in the next, in this line we have the slash, and that means where the cursor will come to the next line. And now again I is equals to 3 and 3 less than or equals to 3, condition is true, and j is equals to 1, 1 less than or equals to I here is 3, condition is true. So what we are printing, I value, I is 1, and again j increment, j will be 2, 2 less than or equals to 3, yes true, so 2 we are printing, and j increment, j will be 3, 3 less than or equals to 3, yes true, so 3 we are getting printed, so 3 we are printing. And next if j will get incremented, 4 less than or equals to 4, the condition will be false, and we are coming out of this inner for loop. And next I is equals to 4 and 4 less than or equals to 3, the condition is false, and we are coming out of the outer for loop also. So that is the pattern. So based on our n value, we can also increase the number of rows. So for suppose if we want the pattern as 1 2 2 3 3 3 4 4 4, so we'll execute and see one program. So this is a platform that we are using, Dave C++, that we are using to execute all the C programs. So this is a header file, and this is the main function, and this is by using this pattern. See, we are printing the j value. So if we are printing the j value, we'll get the pattern as in the first row 1, in the second row 1 2, and then the next row 1 2 3 and so on. So for suppose we'll go with the first pattern, that is we are taking n value, so that the pattern here we are going to get it as, so by using this pattern we'll get the 1 2 3 numbers. So here we are using I less than or equals to n and j less than or equals to n. So we are going to get in the first row, we are going to get the numbers from 1 to n. So whatever the n value you are giving, so that 1 to n numbers will be printed, and that 1 to n numbers will be printed in the first row, and the same numbers will be printed in n number of rows based on your n value. So once we'll execute and see this. So here we need to give the n value. But suppose consider it as 6. I have given the number as 6. In the first row 1 to 6, second row 1 to 6, and so on till 6 rows. These are the 6 number of rows that we are going to get this pattern. For suppose we want in the first row we want only 1, and in the second row we want 1, 2, and in the third row we want 1, 2, 3. So at that time we need to change the condition here it as I. So because this for loop is dependent on the columns for loop, is dependent on the rows. So if we are giving the number as 7, so see here we got that pattern. So in the first row we have 1, in second row 1, 2, and the third row 1, 2, 3, and so on. So in the seventh row we have till 1 to 7. And for suppose if you want the numbers as the first row 1, and in the second row 2, 2, and in the third row 3, 3, 3, and in the fourth row 4 for 4 times. So at that time we need to change the j value, and instead of j we need to keep it as I, so that the I value will get printed. So see, the pattern has been changed. So there are some small corrections, small changes. So we'll get some different patterns. Thank you.